Hey, what's up everybody? In this video, I will be sharing with you some information, and is this the real reason why the United States Mint is not keeping up with American Silver Eagle demand? Now I'm looking at the United States Mint sales for 2023 for American Eagle bullion coins, and a lot of people have been commenting in the comment section of my videos that the United States Mint may be capping American Silver Eagle bullion coins from the authorized purchasers from being able to buy more than 900,000 American Silver Eagles each month. And now that we are at the end of May 2023, it looks like that may possibly be the case. Now, I don't know that for a fact, but now for February, March, April, and now in May, the United States Mint has only sold, according to their sales report for 2023, 900,000 American Silver Eagles each month, with the exception of January, where they sold 3,949,000 for the month of January. Then in February, they sold 900,000. March, they sold 900,000. April, they sold 900,000. And now in the month of May, they are also showing that they sold 900,000 for a total of 7,549,000 American Silver Eagles. Now, a lot of people like to point out on the American Silver Eagle legislation or bill where it says in U.S. Code 31, Section 5116A3, Secretary shall not pay more than average world price for silver. And a lot of people translate that into the United States Mint cannot pay more than silver spot price for silver, paper spot price for silver. But I am finding something very, very interesting about that legislation and the fact that it no longer says that anymore, but yet it says something very, very different. Let me know your thoughts, your opinions in the comment section below about what we are going to look at right now. Please hit the thumbs up button on the video, and let's go over to the computer because we're about to look at something very interesting. Let me know your thoughts. We are now looking at the legislation, the bill that was passed by Congress, and there has been some amendments along the way. And there's a couple of things that I do want to point out in this bill. One that is still in here from day one, I do believe, because many people brings this one point up in many conversations, and that is where it says, notwithstanding any other provision of law, the Secretary shall mint and issue in quantities sufficient to meet public demands coins which are 40.6 millimeters in diameter and weigh 31.103 grams, contain 999 fine silver, have a design A, symbolic of liberty on the obverse side, and B, of a American eagle on the reverse. So one thing that we do know, at least in my opinion, is that based on the premiums that we're seeing on American Silver Eagle bullion coins, they are clearly not meeting, again, in my opinion, they are not meeting that public demand for the bullion coin American Silver Eagle. Now, the other thing that I want to talk about is there was a part on here, and I'm not sure when this changed, but it was, I believe, U.S. Code 31, Section 5116A3, and it's used to state the following. I do believe, Secretary shall not pay more than the average world price for silver. Now that was in here, I do believe, but it has since changed. Now I don't know when this exactly changed, but here's where it says purchase of silver, and I do believe it was somewhere in here, but it no longer says that. Even if we search the word world, it no longer says that. I mean, it no longer states the word world, it no longer states the word average, and if we search by price, Let's search by the word of price. It says the Secretary shall sell coins minted under Section E to the public at a price equal to the market value of the bullion at the time of sale, plus the cost of minting, marketing, distributing such coins, including labor, blah, 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 material overhead expenses. For purpose of Section 5132A1 of this title, all coins minted under subsection E of this section shall be considered to be numismatic items. Then it says the coins issued under this title shall be legal tender as provided in Section 5103 of Title 31 United States Code. And then under this amendment, I believe they're just stating that for Section 5132A1, where they're saying that all coins minted under this subsection shall be considered numismatic, they're referring to proof coins, and I believe that's all that is saying there. But this no longer says that the Secretary shall pay no more than the average world price for silver, but instead it says the Secretary shall obtain the silver for the coins authorized under Section 5112E of this title by purchasing from stockpiles established under the Strategic and Critical Materials Stockpiling Act 50 USC 98. Well, let's see if we can find what this is all about. 50 USC 98. Let's see if we can find that. All right, so here is 50 USC 98, short title, and it says text contains those laws as from Title 50, War and National Defense, Chapter 5, Arsenal, Armories, Arms, and War Materials generally, Subchapter 3, Acquisition and Development of Strategic Raw Materials. Then it says 98 short title. This subchapter may be cited as the Strategic and Critical Materials Stockpiling Act. Interesting. To be honest, I'm really not sure what to make of this because I'm just seeing this for the very first time. But if I search the word silver, it doesn't really talk about silver directly. I think it appears this is an executive order, and it says Executive Order number 14051, designation to exercise authority over the National Defense Stockpile. And it looks like this was from 2013. So it looks like it was an executive order. Maybe the executive order was removed and then the executive order was placed back on. It says, by the authority vested in me as president by the Constitution and the law of the United States of America, including the Strategic and Critical Material Stockpiling Act as amended, 50 USC 98, Section 1413 of the National Defense Authorization Act for fiscal year 2013. But then if you go to Section 1, Policy and Purpose, the United States needs resilient, diverse, and secure supply chains to ensure our economy, prosperity, national security, and national competitiveness. In Executive Order 14017 of February 24, 2021, America's Supply Chain 86 FR 11849. I direct a comprehensive review of America's supply chain to ensure that they are resilient in the face of a range of risks. One critical component of safeguarding supply chains' resilience and industrial-based health is ensuring that both the federal government and the private sector maintain adequate quantities of supplies, equipment, and raw materials on hand to create a buffer against potential shortages and import discrepancies. Some of the federal government's key tools to maintain adequate quantities of supply to guard against such shortages and dependencies are the United States national stockpiles, including the National Defense Stockpile. By strengthening the defense stockpile, the federal government will both ensure that it is keeping adequate quantities of goods on hand to provide a model for the private sector, while recognizing that the private sector stockpiles and reserves can differ from government ones. This order confers authority related to the release of strategic and critical materials from the National Defense Stockpile to improve federal government's effort around stockpiling for national defense purposes. But this is definitely not specifying what the definition of supplies, equipment, or raw materials is. It's not saying silver, it's not saying whatever else. It's just not saying. But if you go back to this bill, clearly they are saying that silver is a part of the Critical Material Stockpiling Act. So I am wondering if the reason why the United States Mint is not producing enough American Silver Eagles is because the Secretary of Defense, who is designated National Defense Stockpile Manager, is not allowing them to produce enough American Silver Eagles because they're not allowing them to have enough silver to produce them. I don't know. That's just my guess. Let me know what your thoughts are down in the comment section below. And then it says down here, Joseph R. Biden Jr. Very interesting. But I'll put a link to this in the description. So if you want to read this for yourself, you absolutely can. But going back to the American Silver Eagle legislation, it no longer has the words for U.S. Code 31, Section 5116A3, where it said previously, I do believe, Secretary shall not pay more than the average world price for silver, but instead, and I'm not sure when this changed, however, it now says a secretary shall obtain the silver for the coins authorized under Section 5112E of this title by purchasing from stockpiles established under the Strategic and Critical Material Stockpiling Act, and it's this 50 U.S.C. 98 that we just looked at right here. And I will put a link to both this and this legislation for the American Silver Eagle. It's not only the American Silver Eagle, there's other stuff on this bill as well, but I will put a link to this in the description of this video, as well as a link to this in the description of this video. I know the United States Mint gets the majority, if not all, of their silver blanks from Sunshine Minting. However, I believe I heard the CEO of Sunshine Minting say that the United States Mint sends the raw material silver to Sunshine Minting, then Sunshine produces the silver blanks and sends them back to the United States Mint. And according to the Strategic and Critical Material Stockpiling Act, where the United States Mint and the Treasury is supposed to be acquiring their silver from, and if the stockpile manager, who is the Secretary of the Defense, is not giving the silver to the United States Mint to send to the Sunshine Mint, or at least enough silver to send to the Sunshine Mint to get enough silver blanks, then this could possibly, again, possibly speculation, but possibly could be the reason why the United States Mint is not able to produce enough American Silver Eagles. Thanks everybody for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, share. Definitely let me know your thoughts, your opinions in the comment section below, and I'll talk to everybody on my next video. Thanks a lot, everyone.